Meanwhile, in a distant portion of Japan, a Kaneki walks down a secluded road, rather rough and tumble in appearance. He carries with him a sword and a satchel containing all the things he needs for his travels, smoking a tobacco pipe. As he walks, he finds himself stopping in place. He senses something ahead. Another one, huh? I guess it's my lucky day, he said as he looked ahead, as a new feeling seems to strike into him. Normally, the Kanekis that he deals with come straight towards him the moment that he comes into a range where he can sense them and where they can sense him. But strange enough, this one isn't. In fact, it seems to be moving on the outskirts of his perception, moving to the left, towards the forest and mountains in this area. What the hell are you up to? Kaneki thinks to himself. I don't suppose you're going to be any help in this, he says as he looks over to his shadowy mother standing nearby. I offer no aid when dealing with others that are also Kaneki. Your challenge is between you. As your mother, it would be unfair to take sides. Respond however you wish, she replies. No fucking use, he says as he takes another hit of his tobacco pipe, watching the direction that he senses the other Kaneki moving further into the woods. As he begins to follow, moving in his direction, as this Kaneki seems to lead him deeper and deeper into the woods. He eventually begins to run, giving chase. What the hell are you up to? He thinks to himself as he hurtles through the woods, crossing through trees and bamboo. Where are you? He says as he runs as fast as he can. Finally, it seems as if he's catching up, the other Kaneki beginning to slow. This doesn't make any sense. From what I can feel, he's strong. In fact, his feel is even stronger than mine, so he has more pieces than I do. Why is he running? Kaneki thought to himself as he dashed through the woods. As he grew closer, his perceptual awareness of Kaneki begins to fade. As is common, the closer you grow, the more dim the feeling, to the point where you can no longer deduce their exact location. As he draws his blade, slowing to a stop, beginning to look around, and he suddenly hears a curious hissing sound, like the hissing of a snake. As he draws his attention towards the sound, he finds himself curiously looking towards the sky. As he looks up, he sees an object, a sort of spherical object. From it, a trail of smoke and a hissing sound. As in an explosion, a burst of bright, colorful light spring forward. As scattering from the explosion, countless small plumes of smoke that spread out, clattering to the entire area around him. Each plume hitting the ground, spreading out thick, billowing clouds of smoke that shroud the entire area. One of them lands very near Kaneki. As he looks down to find a small sphere, he's seen it before. It's a smoke bomb. As he watches as it spews thick gray smoke that fills the area. Now everything obscured in it. What the hell? Fireworks? Who the hell is this guy? Does he think he can sneak up on me? He's got another thing coming, Kaneki says as he steadies his stance, keeping a wary eye on all of his surroundings, making sure that nothing and no one can sneak up on him, spreading his senses out, being aware of even the slightest change. He hears it, the whooshing of something moving fast traveling through the air. On reflex, he turns around, slashing at it, finding another spherical object, which he slashes in half. As he does, he's caught completely by surprise, as in slashing the circular object open, countless other smaller objects, all spherical in shape, fall from its interior, scattering out all around him. What the? He thinks to himself, as suddenly there's a spark. Bright sparks begin to emit from all of them, and in an instant, a cacophony of explosions erupt in the area. Dozens and dozens of tiny little bombs all going off surrounding him. Though the explosions are jostling, it is not the explosions themselves that bring harm. Rather, Kantaki feels countless barbs and stabbing pains riddling his body from all directions. As the smoke from the explosion begins to clear, he finds his entire body riddled with holes, shards of metal embedded in nearly every inch of him, blood dripping from countless wounds. As he coughs up a small measure of blood, stumbling a bit, having trouble standing with so many barbs dug into his legs, everything hurt. Damn it, it's a trap, he exclaims, pain riddling his body. Damn it, I've got to get out of here, he said as he began to turn around, trying to run back the opposite direction. As he did, he heard the thud of a hard impact as he looks forward to find a spherical object having just hit a tree in front of him, a hissing sound emitting from it as a bright series of sparks burns on the outer exterior, and in that instant, it explodes in a massive array of lights. The explosion sends him hurtling back, rolling across the ground as the bright, colorful sparks fly everywhere. The pain from rolling across the ground with all of these shards of metal sticking out of his body is immense. He exclaims in pain as he tries to hoist himself to his feet, still bleeding profusely, gritting his teeth through the pain as he tries to stand back up. Suddenly, he hears a high-pitched squeal as a bright streak of light streaks through the sky, moving rapidly through the air in his direction. Once again, he swings out with his sword, just managing to bat it away, clinking off of his sword as he deflects its path just enough to streak by him, impacting the ground next to him with a small explosion. As he hears it again and again, that squealing sound, as one after another bolts of streaking light fly out of the surrounding forest. One after another, he attempts to bat them away or move out of their path as one burst of fire after another emits. After about 6 or 7, it seems the whistlings finally stop. The streaks of fire that roll past him cease as he breathes heavily, staring out into the forest, still blanketed in a thick gray smoke, unable to make heads or tails of where his target is. What the hell? He says to himself, still bleeding profusely, coughing up small amounts of blood, as once again he hears it, a hissing, but this time far stronger, a much louder hissing, and again, from above. More smoke bombs? He said as he looked up to the sky to see a massive streak of fiery light arcing down on his location. Nearly there, he grits his teeth and forces his legs to move, but not fast enough. The injuries that assail him too great. He is unable to get out of the way in time. The massive streak of fire impacts the ground beneath him, the explosion rocking him, his body flying out with the rain of bright, colorful sparks of every color, his body sailing through the air, along with rubble, shattered pieces of wood and leaves catching fire as they fly along with him. His clothes now nearly ablaze as he sails through the air, finally impacting a tree hard and clattering to the ground. He feels his bones break as he does, as he impacts the ground, now having trouble breathing even more than he was before. He hears it, the hissing again, and thuds, a large number of them, as his senses begin to return to him. His dazed eyesight finally coming to, still lying on the ground as he looks around him to find nearly a dozen spherical objects falling to the ground around him, each one considerable in size. No longer able to move quickly, he no longer even knew where his sword was, and even if he did, no time to get up from the ground, as a flash of sparks emit from each of the individual orbs. "Damn it," he exclaims, as a massive number of massive explosions ring out from the location, and an awe-inspiring explosion of lights. His life ends. After the explosions die down, his body sent hurtling, finally finding a resting place, smoking and burning in places, covered in countless wounds. A figure begins to approach through the smoke. A man, or more specifically, a Kantaki, carrying a great number of pouches on his body, within his clothing, and a pack which he carries on his back. He looks down to the destroyed form of the Kantaki beneath him, as streams of light flow up, reaching out, pouring into his form, as he absorbs his fellow Kantaki's shards. "And that's 21, Kantaki exclaims. "How long is this gonna go on? How many of them are there?" he says as he removes from his side a small shovel. "I have to do this quick. My family's probably wondering where I'm at right now. Come on, guys. Remember, it's just silly Kantaki testing his new fireworks. That's all," he says as he begins to dig yet another grave